back to the class, everyone. This video is going to be just a little bit controversial because we're going to be talking about two things that aren't super liked right now by everyone, and there's good reason for that, and that is Admiral Trench and Datacrons. So what we have before us here now is we're going up against this super powerful raid team with our Admiral Trench with his current Datacron, and the dude just kind of destroys her. And there's some really funny caveats to this. So if we look at the Raycron right now that they're currently using, it's a really stinking good one. I realize not everybody's going to be running the Ben Solocron right out the gate. A lot of people are going to be using Sortie from beforehand. But I think this is a real testament that is going to show that with the ebb and flow of certain counters, Trench is always going to kind of have a leg up against Rey, similar to kind of how Fennec has a leg up towards Lord Vader, in the sense that it's not always going to work, but it's going to have some viability all around. So you can see really stinking good Kron, 126% of health steal, which is like Rey's favorite stat in this current set, as well as she is R9 with 12,000 offense. I'm not going to list off all the stats, but if you want to see in here, by the way, I didn't change any of my mods for any of this. Like my Django is still like 283 with the crit damage set. My Dooku has no 6E mods, so there are ways to make this better and more consistent. My Watt is kind of fast at 317 or something like that. But what I would really talk about is the overall strategy at how to get this to work. It does require, or at least in my experience, the kind of premium team. We're going to be going in here taking in Django. We immediately want to put the tank tech on Django. The whole reason for that is when Dooku is going to stealth, he's going to be the only one left open, and right now he has damage immunity, but even when he doesn't have damage immunity, he's going to have a lot of defense and stuff like that because of how Trench's kit is working out. It is important to put the TM tech on Dooku. The reason for this is twofold. Number one, he needs to be constantly stealthing people. If everyone else is constantly getting out of stealth, then Django isn't going to be really your tank, so he needs to be taking more turns than the rest of your own. And also, it is very important that Rey stays ability block. She really can't be getting her whirlwinds off, or really even her lifeblood. Her lifeblood isn't overall good because it just makes the team last longer. And one of the reasons this is working right now with the Datacron is because we're just gaining so much damage from the level 3 that is taking, whenever we have 2 buffs that can't be dispelled, we're gaining a lot of offense, and that's one of the reasons why they have enough damage to actually be able to take out a Galactic Legend. So you can see we're off to a rough start here in the very beginning. It is important as well. We want Rey ability block so she doesn't whirlwind someone, but also on top of that, we want to make sure that she constantly doesn't have inspired. This is not hard to do with this team. We have 2 different mass assists between Trench and Newt, so we can call her in and 3 crits and she automatically doesn't have inspired. We also have Stagger that works really well against her, but I'm just a little surprised as to how well this works. The overall strategy is kind of the same, or rather the overall kill order is the same as anything is versus Rey. You need to kill all the sides and then do the little dance with Ben and Rey to be able to take them down. One of the nice things in GAC for this as well is that you're actually going to be able to permakill Ben either between Django or with Dooku, because both of them can permakill because of either the tech or Django just as kit. Also, one really cool thing that is a testament to how good this team really is. I don't know if you guys have noticed it yet, either in the on-screen, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, or just even in the battle. We're not gaining tactical supremacy every single time we use Trench's mass assist. And the reason why is because we don't even have all of Trench's zetas. I guess that's kind of embarrassing for me. I didn't plan properly. I only have 2 of them. So we're able to do everything that we're doing here without that huge buff, because that's a lot of crit damage, that's a lot of potency, and it's also a lot of recovery that would help us against the, like not die and things like that. Although we're never really close to dying because we're able to consistently strip inspired off of Rey throughout the entire battle. She's not really gaining much offense, and then through the rest of protection, recovery, and healing immunity, or immunity to healing immunity that Trench has, it's really hard for them to take us down. So even with JTR being in there, constantly gaining turns from the debuffs and gaining mastery and stuff like that, it just really isn't enough to stop Trench and his Datacron from doing what they want to do. I don't think this is going to work super well once his Datacron goes away, but I mean, this is the next 4 months, especially after these next 2 months, they're no longer going to have the Shortycron, so this is going to be like the ideal team. once the current set of crons goes away over the next 2 months. So as you can see, we're working it down. There is only a minute left, but the reason why that's kind of unimportant right now is because, like I said, we've already gained a ridiculous amount of offense as the battle's gone. It's very similar to maybe like an SLKR or a Wampa, that they can go down and they can almost time out, but by the time 4 minutes have gone by, they've stacked up so much offense that it's really hard to stop them. And JTR as well, she has not gained nearly enough mastery to be able to stop, again, everyone's damage from just going in and taking her out. So overall, I'm really happy with it. This is probably something that I'm going to use if I can work it out right in 5v5. Now, there is like the really awkward elephant in the room here, and that is we still do have to trade Watt and Newt from their other teams. Newt, of course, with a General Grievous team, and Watt and a myriad of teams probably with Cease. So this isn't like the most useful tool in the world, because there's some times where I honestly even think with this great investment of having Trench and his Datacron and whatnot, there might be some times where he's just left on the bench. But this is really encouraging to see, because for this to be worth it, this super expensive team with Newt and Trench and Django and Watt, for this to be at all worth it, it needs to beat a really good Galactic Legend, also with a really good Datacron. It cannot really be niche to be able to use it, because if it is, then you're just better off using Newt with Grievous. So I'll probably be playing around this. I would like to do BB-8 with General Grievous, as kind of works as a nice substitute that can still beat a Starkiller team. And then C can beat most Malgus teams without the help of Watt, or maybe we can use Armorer against JMK or something of that sort. So just a little review. I already kind of showed my mods at the beginning if you want to see, but again, we do not have the Zeta. Again, that's very embarrassing on my part. So we're missing out on all the protection and protection up recovery, which would have been really nice, and maybe could have even helped prevent a whirlwind at some point. I don't know, though. I don't think my Django's tanky enough for that, and I don't even know if he can be modded up to that point. But also, just we're missing out on tactical supremacy, which is a lot of damage, which is going to help prevent the possible timeouts that we probably saw from the fact that battle went about 4.5 minutes. That is I have only won that battle, by the way, and I've done it more than a few times, so it does seem somewhat consistent. I imagine something can go wrong if you can't consistently ability block range. She gets a pretty clutch whirlwind off on someone. Again, going over my Datacron, I do believe all three of these pieces are important. The level 3, getting that amount of stacking offense, and oh, by the way, that actually really sucks about our Datacron too. Or not our Datacron, our Zeta. Not having that Zeta was another reason that we weren't able to work through and get even more offense. Enemies with Extortion have negative crit chance and potency. That is pretty nice, especially for Ben not being able to crit on his basic or even his armor shred hit. And then the repost is also nice because we got to hit a little protection a little bit. But ultimately, like, this is pretty important. The critical chance up to 200%, that's how we were constantly able to keep things off of Ray. And then the defense as well was able to help mitigate a lot of this damage that, other than whirlwinds, was coming our way. So that is going to be it. I realize, again, not everyone's favorite topic, but it is cool that it can at least do something. But until the next time, thank you guys for watching, and as always, stay awesome.